Hi, good afternoon. Is everyone able to hear me? Could you indicate by saying yes in the chat? Okay, thank you. All right, perfect. Thank you. We're going to just go straight into it. All right. Good afternoon again, colleagues. Welcome to today's intermediate session. Today's session covers some of the tools in Moodle that are used for knowledge acquisition and for the presentation of content. I am Michaela Peck, Distance Learning and Training Officer from the Office of Distance Learning, and I will be facilitating today's session. Now, throughout the session, if it is that you have a question, you may leave same in the chat. If you prefer though to raise your hand and to take the mic to speak, you can acknowledge by raising your hand and I will acknowledge you. Then you can activate the mic to speak. If you're unsure as to how to use the chat feature or the mic feature, there is a purple ribbon bottom right of your screen. It's called the Collaborate panel. Once you click on that, the panel will pop out and the first icon representing a chat bubble, you can click on that and it allows you to send a message to everyone. All right, if you prefer to raise your hand, then activate mic to speak. Bottom center of your screen, there are four icons. The second icon allows for you to unmute to speak, and the final and fourth icon allows you to raise your hand. Okay. Last week we had a session on collaboration and communication tools that was facilitated by Mrs. Kamla Anderson, Instructional Design Specialist at the ODL. And of course, we continue to advertise via the broadcaster, the training schedule for the semester, all right, upcoming training sessions as well as the training modules online, which you are required to take in order to receive the badges upon successful completion of each unit and certificate upon completion of each respective training module. All right. So just a reminder, if this is probably your first time as well, it's useful information for you. We have all our online training modules, all our training modules rather online. So you're not expected to work with me during these sessions. It's not a workshop, right? We have created several spaces for the different training levels within UTech Online for you to actually go on in your own time, practice, and attempt each learning activity. All right, and recordings as well for all sessions done are uploaded there. I'm going to be demonstrating that shortly, but just letting you know. Okay, so I'm just going to start my screen sharing so that you can see what these online training modules look like at a glance. And if you would like access to these training modules, well, most of us probably already do have access, but for those who do not, you can simply send myself or Mrs. Kamla Anderson email and we will have you enrolled. So the modules I'm talking about are the basic training online, intermediate training online, and the advanced. So the advanced, let me see, this would be it. So I'm going to go into each one quickly. This is the basic training. This was also done last week, Tuesday, I believe, right, by myself. Last week, Tuesday, and it basically takes you through course creation, so from the scratch up. So course creation, changing course titles and sections, course population with the use of resource tools, and as I mentioned, there is a live recording for the sessions being done. All right, so the idea behind these training modules is that it is broken down into units. Of course, each unit has a different area to be explored. There are learning objectives assigned to each unit. There are resources that you must read, videos you must watch, and then the learning activities are there for you to attempt. All right. I mentioned earlier, upon successful completion of each unit, you receive a badge. If you successfully complete the course in its entirety, you receive a certification. Same for the intermediate training. And this is where we're at now, Unit 2, tools for content presentation and knowledge acquisition. All right, and then the advanced training. This is the final training we will conduct. This one will be done by Mrs. Anderson, and it's very, very important. It explores the role of the tutor, how to manage students' expectations, and the list goes on. Okay, so our focus today is, as I mentioned, um, the tools for content presentation and knowledge acquisition. And the specific tools we'll be exploring are the glossary, the lesson, and the curriculum builder tool. And these are all classified as tools for knowledge acquisition and content presentation because students are able to acquire knowledge from the content presented using these tools within Moodle. Okay, so the first tool we want to look at is the curriculum builder. So I'm going to close this, well, I'm not going to close it out as yet, but I'm going to open the course I'll be working from, which is a Moodle training course. It's currently empty. All right, and what I'm going to look at first is the curriculum builder. So before we do it, what is a curriculum builder? Does anybody at all know what the curriculum builder is? Has anybody used it in past times? Or if not, are you familiar with it? All right, just gonna ask you to raise your hand if you are unfamiliar, if you're familiar rather, or if you have used it and want to share your experience. Nobody has used a curriculum builder, nobody knows what it is. As Miss Joseph.
Hi, Michaela. Sorry to
Hi,
be
good
late.
afternoon. That's
Um,
all.
I and I'm going to have to leave early because I have a 2 o'clock class. But
Okay.
no, I had never really heard about it, so it was really curiosity that made me decide to come. And I won't be able to come on Thursday because I have a funeral.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. All right, so since most persons seem not to be familiar, I'll go ahead and tell you. So the curriculum builder is a tool that allows teachers to quickly and very easily, I would say, create reading lists for their students. So it actually allows us the use of the Calvin McCain Library for viewing books, ebooks, journals, publications, articles, and other useful digital or what we call electronic resources for students, right? And it's a service provided by a company called EBSCO Connect, and it's a very convenient tool because it allows you as a lecturer to integrate these resources directly into your online course as opposed to sending students to the library, recommending physical or hard copy books or resources that contain useful information for the course. You can link these resources independently from the Calvin McCain to your online course. So we're going to be exploring how this can be done. And remember, we have to turn it on to add any activity or resource to the course. And under, I'm going to call this topic one. And remember, it's very important to give specific names to your topic. So for the purpose of this training, we won't be exploring that. But topic one, topic two, topic three means nothing at all to your students. So we would normally recommend that you have the name of the topic or the name of the unit, and then you say what it is covering. So in this case, we could say topic one, curriculum builder. That's the name of the topic. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to add an activity or resource, and this is an activity classified as an activity in Moodle. So I'm going to click on activities, and the curriculum builder tool is here. However, the curriculum builder can also be added through the external tool. You realize they share similar or the same icon. All right, and remember, if you are lost in Moodle, you're seeing quite a list of tools, you don't know what they are for, you can click on the little I. The I here provides information about what that particular tool has to offer. Right. So here it says it is a highly effective tool that enables you to bring the world of quality databases, ebooks, and other digital resources from the library system and directly integrate it into your online course. It is connected to the Calvin McCain Library Knowledge Database. So you search a database, you click on what you want to find, you embed it into the course. That's the long and short of what that has to say. All right, so just a reminder, if this is not sufficient description for you, you can always click on more help, which is the little link here, and it will take you to the internet and give you more information regarding said tool. We're going to add this tool to the course, and we're going to fill this electronic form. So I'm going to call this reading list, um, instructional technology, education in summary. Okay, and I'm not going to enter anything else, unless it is, of course, that I want to, hide certain things as it relates to the tool, if I want to restrict access, but we're not going to do any of that. Just going to give the activity a name, scroll down, and we're going to save and display. We normally save and return when we're through fixing up the tool, but we haven't started just yet. We have to save and display. All right, and it's loading a little frame inside of this space here. Okay, and it allows us now to search the resources that the library has via keyword, via author, or via title. Okay, if you have the name of the author for a book or publication, you can always type it, but ensure author is selected. If you have a specific title for a resource you want to share, you click on that. I don't have any at current, so I'm going to go with keyword, and I'm just going to call this instructional technology for education in the online classroom. Instructional technology, and then I'm going to hit search. All right, so just give it a couple seconds for loading to take place. Good, and we're operating inside of this frame here. And it says we have about what, 1.7 results on instructional technology. Okay, and it shows you just scroll down and you'll be able to see what the different resources are. Okay, so let's say I wanted this book here for my students. It says instructional technology and media for learning. I'm going to click on retrieve from CalCut. Okay, and when I scroll down it says available 3. Okay, so sometimes I must tell you, sometimes when you click on the books, you might not see a way in which you can actually get the full book in its entirety. All right, so what I'm going to do, when you have done that and you click here and you're not seeing any information that would point you to the direct link for the book, you close and then you click on the actual name of the book. Because what we have to do, we have to ensure that the students will be able to access it before we actually just click to add it to the reading list. All right, so I just clicked on the actual book name, scroll down. All right, so we're not seeing any additional links here. I'm going to click back on retrieve from CalCut. Where is that? Okay, see here, retrieve from CalCut. All right, and it seems as though this is not available in the Calvin McCain library. All right, because what should happen if that were the case, it should actually take you to a link to sign in. So you're basically signing in using your UTech username and your regular password. So in this case, this might not be a good pick because there is no link allowing me to actually get the book. Okay, so we're gonna keep scrolling. Okay, let me just go back to the results, to the initial results. All right, I think I went back 2 times, should have gone back just once. Okay, so we're back to the same screen. Let us keep going. All right, and one of the things I want to mention as well is that you can filter your search. I'll show you how to do that shortly, but I'm just gonna open a new tab about 3 different resources. So this is an academic journal. I'm going to look for another ebook. Just gonna keep scrolling, looking for an ebook because the books yield different results from the ebook. Some of them actually say ebooks. I think I figured that these are the ones that might not be available. All right, still searching for something that says ebook. Okay, so what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to filter the results. So to filter the results, you just scroll back up and start scrolling within the same frame, and focus on the left panel. All right, so where it says source type, you just click on the plus and you can select the option. As I said before, ebooks are classified differently from books. So I'm going to click on ebooks and see what results this provides. Okay. All right, so this one says um, educational technology, a primer for the 21st century. I'm going to click to open that in a new tab as well. All right. Okay, so that's two. We want one more. All right, and we're going to click on instructional scaffolding in education. Okay, so we have three different tabs open. So as you would have seen, I right clicked, open a new tab so as to not navigate from this screen. All right. Now, the first one is an academic journal. It looks at teachers' perception of instructional technology application to the teaching learning process. All right. And to retrieve the academic journal content, I would just click on PDF full text. Okay. So this screen has loaded. It has 13 pages. And let's say this is something useful that we would want our students to have access to. What we would do is just to close it, go back to the search results, click on back to results as opposed to the back button, back to results. All right, and we are going to, I just did something wrong. I should have just added it to the reading list. All right, I did not do that. So I'm going to reopen it. All right, I think I lost it. Sorry for the confusion. But what you should do is to just click the button here. It's right here, add to reading list. All right, instead of going back, you just click add to reading list. So that is what I failed to do. Okay, so we're going to close that PDF. We're on to our next resource, which is a book that speaks about primer for the 21st century, educational technology. Okay, so we have two options here. So this looks good. We have the option to retrieve from Calcat. We have the option to get the full text from UTech Jamaica. So I'm going to right click to open each in a new tab to see what happens. Okay, so for Calcat, we have nothing here, so we're going to close that. For retrieving the book from UTech Jamaica, I'm just going to enter my UTech login. Oops. tech.edu.jm. Right, enter my password. As I mentioned before, this should be your regular login. Okay, I'm seeing something that says institutional login, so probably I should click on this one instead. Right, so this is a new option. It normally allows for you to just use one login. University of Technology search. Yeah, so this is definitely new. So what would have happened normally is that you wouldn't get the option of entering an institutional entering institutional credentials. It should just be your regular UTech login. Yeah, so that is something we might have to investigate. But let's just try institutional login again and see what happens in this case. All right, so I'll just make a note to have this checked out. It's for curriculum builder tool login. All right, so up until last week, we were able to get in without any issues. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the issue is here. Okay, so for now, then we have to work with the PDFs because we don't want to waste time trying to log in, and that is not working for us. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're just gonna go back to here and remove the option that says ebooks. All right, so we're going to search for all. Okay, so I'm going to just click on search.
Sorry, one moment, Miss Beck.
Sure, go ahead. That sounds like Miss Davis.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Is it that the E version is not working? In the process, I was a little bit lost somewhere along the process.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that
No,
that
man. No, man. The option that says retrieve from CalCut or retrieve from UTech Jamaica, it requires a login. So what we normally do, we normally enter the institutions, well, it's your personal username and password for login, your credentials. So once you log in, it gives you the access to that reading resource. You understand? So it's not specific to an ebook, to any material at all that requires retrieval from CalCut or UTech Jamaica.
All
So
right.
for
So
instance,
the question, sorry to interrupt.
go
So my
ahead.
understanding of this resource, is
Hmm.
it a resource or activity? It's a resource?
Right. So the tool is really classified as an activity in Moodle
Right.
because it's a plugin activity, but it's really you composing a resource list or reading list for your students. So this
Right.
could be books, journals, periodicals, publications, any type of digital resource.
All right. So just bear with me a little. Now you have some what appears to be some journal on the page right now. So should
Hmm.
you have the need to use any one of them, any one of these PDF, you would click on it. Once you add the reading list, would it automatically attach to
Right.
this
So
resource
once,
or
yes,
activity?
right. So once you click on add to reading list, it is added to the reading list, which will look at how you view the reading list after. Yes.
All right. Another question. When the student comes to the page, are they required to put in any password or it will be just there for them?
No. So once you have located the resource, added it to your reading list, the students click and gain immediate access. So no requirements for login or anything of the sort. So the hard work is on the teacher.
Okay, thank you, Miss Peck.
All right, no problem. Okay, so as I mentioned, for now, let us just work with the options that say full text. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna quickly do another ebook search, not for anything in CalCut, for ebooks that are in PDF format. All right, so click on ebooks here, and let me just see something quickly. Okay, all right, so it's all ebooks. Let us see if we can find an ebook in PDF. They are normally very large, so that is the reason why they allow the option to retrieve it from Tech Jamaica or CalCut, which is the online system. All right, so here we have an ebook. It is in full text, and we know for sure it's accessible because um, it's full text. All right, so I'm gonna click on this. Okay, so this is what we're looking for all this time. So let us see what happens here. This option, you see, it doesn't ask me to select my location or my institution as I was explaining earlier. This is how it should pop up. This is exactly how it should pop up. Right, so this is what I wanted to demonstrate. So here it is. All right, and of course, this is the full book. You can click on each section. If you want, you can download different sections of the book to your computer. The down keys here. All right, so as you would have realized, I clicked on it and it took me right to my login, and I just clicked on login and there were no issues. Absolutely no issues. Okay, so let us say this is a book that we want to share to our students about technology integration as it relates to managing educational technology. I would click on add to reading list. So I believe we have 3 resources now added to the reading list. So we're going to close this out. Okay, and I'm going to scroll to the top of my page, and top left it says see current reading list. We're going to look at the reading list we just built. Okay, so the reading list, I think it's still loading because I can't scroll anything. Can't scroll. Or is it that I just added one resource? It seems that's why I just added one resource. Seems that way to me. Okay. All right. So I'm only seeing the book that I added. It seems as though I only clicked that button once. That's what I'm seeing because the list here shows everything that you would have added. And I believe my screen is finished loading. Okay. So it shows all of the resources you have added here. All right, in this section here. Now, there are different ways in which you can set up the reading resource so it's most beneficial to your students. If you have um, multiple resources, you have the option of creating a folder by clicking on the add folder button here. You can give the folder a name. You can create multiple folders as well, and you can place each resource in their respective folder. All right, so let's say under instructional technology, I wanted a folder that manages resources referring to integration of technology. All right, I would click on create folder. Okay, it's loading. And as you can see, my folder is right here. But it's showing me that the folder has 0 items. So if I wanted to add this resource to my folder, I would click on move to folder and I would select the list. From the list, the folder I want to move it to. So I'm not going to do that because I want to show some stuff here. All right, but whatever folders you have, you simply click on it and that particular resource will jump into that folder. And the number of items in the folder will be reflected here. Okay, next we have add text or instructions. Let's say the book or one of the books you have given the student, it has many chapters. You don't want them to read the entire book, right? You can specify here which books they should read, which chapters or which pages, and then you can select the folder that that particular book or resource is in, and then you add it to the reading list. All right, next we have add web resource. You're not limited to just adding to the reading list the resources available in the Calvin McCain. You can add external repositories or external database resources within this reading list. So let's say there's an article on the internet on educational technology that I find useful for sharing with my students. Good. Let's say this is the article and I want to place this in the reading list for students to access. Of course, there are many ways to do this in Moodle, but we're focusing on the reading list, right? We would simply click on the web address, or the URL, right click to copy, go back to the reading list and paste the URL here. All right, and of course, we would give it a name. So we call this educational tools, all right? And we can place it in the folder as well. All right, so if I click on that, click on add to reading list, it is placed there. So it's loading and now we can see that it has one item. Okay. Now down to this resource, it is not placed in a folder just yet, it's just there because I wanted to show you how you can actually apply other actions to the resource. Okay, so we can see it's an ebook, it's in PDF format. Let's say we no longer want this ebook, we can remove it. You click on delete and it removes the resource. The one thing about this delete button though, it doesn't prompt you to ask if you're sure. So once you delete, it is gone forever. Good. There is this, oops, sorry, didn't mean to click on that just yet. There is this add notes option below. If you want to give specific instructions to your students about this book, you can enter. And it could just be a notation to say you are only required to read chapter 3, pages 32 to 33. All right, and then based on your findings, you can do such and such, participate in the forum, which can be found in Unit 2 of the course. So you can add all of those instructions there. Click on Save Notes. All right, and then that note will be tied to the resource. To see the notes as a lecturer, you just click on Edit Notes and it shows you what you have. Okay. The citation details as it relates to this particular resource is here. in APA format. Of course, the drop down gives you a list of different formats, referencing citing formats, sorry. But of course, we are using the APA. I believe we're still at the 7th edition for the APA format. So that is the this is the referencing for this particular resource, book resource, referencing information. All right. Now that is what the reading list looks like. This is how you can actually compose the reading list. Um, if you wanted to look at the folder, what is in the folder, you simply click on the folder, good, and it shows what is contained in the folder. So it says educational tools. If I click on it, it opens in a new window. Okay, so I'm gonna close. I am going to go back to the course, the main course page, by clicking on the name of the course or the course code. All right. What I want to do, I just want to switch my role quickly to student to show you what it looks like. Switch role to student. And you'll realize as well, so I don't want it to look as though, every time you switch your role to student, it gives you the actual view that the student get. Because I've come across certain times I switch my role to view a particular activity I've set up or resource, and it doesn't give me a student view. But in a student, I'm going to click on the reading list. Okay, and excellent. It gives me a good view. As a student, I can click in this folder here. All right, so I'm not doing any searching. I can click, the article loads, good. I can go back to the main list. Okay, I can see the note that I left as the lecturer for my student. I can click on the book. Okay, and you would have realized it didn't prompt me to log in this time. Um, I can click on each page. There are no hindrances. All right, and I still have the option as a student, if I wanted to download, I can click on save pages, or if I have a specific section I want to download, I can just click on it from here. Okay, so that basically concludes the demonstration for the curriculum builder. Do we have any questions before we move on to our next tool? Are there any questions?
One quick question, Miss Peck.
Sure, Miss
You
Davis.
said earlier that some of the resources may not necessarily be from the library. If you have something on your desktop or elsewhere, is there any issue with copyright or anything like that, or you can put on just about anything you want?
Well, we normally ask, so if it is not your own work, we normally ask you to reference. So even if it is that you're doing, even if it is so that you're using a YouTube video, we normally ask at the end, we recommend that you put the referencing information for that particular resource.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, we are going to move on to our next tool, and that tool is the lesson tool. Somebody must be familiar with this one. Anyone want to take this one? What is a lesson tool in Moodle, and what does it allow you to do? Anybody? Anybody knows what the lesson tool is?
Students are silent.
All right, Dr. Melville, do you want to take this
No.
one? Miss Joseph says no. Dr. Melville? I think Dr. Melville should know this one.
I actually do. I'm here just multitasking. I'm really here for the curriculum builder, which is what I had missed out on the last time. But yes, we have
Okay.
used the lesson feature in academic writing one quite a lot of
Mhm.
times, so we are somewhat familiar with it. It allows us to present information to students, including activities, really engaging way of presenting information rather than just having it in a little boring standard kind of way.
Okay, excellent. All right, so that's a good description of the lesson tool. So it's really a tool that allows the facilitator to create different types of learning paths to assess your students' understanding of what you are teaching them, right? So it can be built to progress through a series of connected pages that contain a combination of written content, questions, and of course, these pages can contain, and as Dr. Melville alluded to, multimedia. So it's not the traditional boring way of presenting content, right? So it can contain multimedia such as text, images, audio, video, and of course, these components help to build a learning path for the student. So rather than just having, for example, your lecture notes uploaded in the standard Word document or PowerPoint document, the lesson tool creates a beautiful and creative way for you to present the content to the students. And not only about content presentation, you can actually create prompts or questions. You can quiz them, right? You can engage them in a way where you allow them to read a couple of pages and then you test their understanding of what they have learned thus far. And based on their response to certain questions, you can allow them to progress throughout the lesson, or you can allow them to jump back to a particular area in the lesson for them to revise and reattempt the questions. Okay, so we're gonna return back to my normal role because I'm in a student. All right, so return to normal role, and then we're going to turn it in on again, and we're going to rename topic 2. We're going to call topic 2 lesson 2. Good. And then we add an activity or resource, and we're looking for the lesson tool here. So if I click on the description, it says it allows the facilitator to deliver content and practice activities in interesting and flexible ways. You can use the lesson to create a linear set of content pages or instructional activities that offer a variety of learning paths for the learner. In either case, the teacher can choose to increase engagement and ensure understanding by including a variety of questions such as multiple choice, matching, short answer, and depending on the student choice of answer and how the teacher develops the lesson, the students may be progressed to the next page, be taken back or redirected, which I shared earlier. So lessons may be graded, and the grade, of course, will be reflected in the grade book. It may be used for self-directed learning, for scenarios or simulations, or for differentiated revision. All right, so we're going to click to add the lesson, and we are going to give our lesson a name. So I have a Word document open that I use for every single, session that I do. So I'm just going to be copying and pasting from this document. All right. You're not required to give a description to any activity or resource, but if it's important to you, you can let the students know what this page, what this lesson is about. Good. On the appearance, do you want progress bar to be shown? So yes, students will see percentage of completion throughout the lesson. You want to display a menu, yes or no, really up to you. Availability. When do you want this lesson to be available from? When it's a deadline for students to attempt the lesson, what is the time limit as it relates to how long they can spend in the lesson? You get to enter all of that. All right. On the flow control, we want to allow students to review. This is basically them going back over the lesson, seeing where they went wrong. If it is that you have a quiz tied to the lesson, you want to provide an option to try again. That's trying a question again. What is the maximum number rather of attempts per question? All right, so you get to configure the lesson based on how you want it to appear to the students. We scroll down, save and display, because we have not entered the content just yet. Okay, now the system prompts here, what would you like to do first? Do you want to import questions? Remember that just as with the quiz format, with the quiz activity rather, you can import questions using the gift format, exam view format, Akin format, quite a number of formats that you can use to import questions. So if you already have your questions, you can import them. You can add a content page, which is a page containing text and multimedia. You can add a cluster, which is really like a combination of question pages. They're presented randomly to the students who participate in the lesson. And then you have the question page. You can choose one of the different question types, the type of question that you want to add to the lesson. So we're going to start off with a content page. And remember, we're working from this Word document, so I'm just going to be copying and pasting. The first page looks at laptops. I'm going to paste the page title to be laptops, and then I'm going to enter the page content. Control V to copy and paste. All right, and of course, I could add an image, I could add a voice recording, I could upload a video. To add a video, or let me add a voice recording instead. To add the voice recording, I can upload it from my computer if it's on my computer, or I can record it here and now. So if I click on this mic icon, click on record audio, start recording, it normally gives a prompt top left. If you see a prompt asking your browser to access your microphone, you click on accept. All right, or allow. It's recording me and it's giving me 2 minutes to record. You can have multiple 2-minute snippets. All right, I'm gonna click on stop recording. I can listen to the recording. It normally gives a prompt top left. All right, if I'm dissatisfied, I can record again. If I'm satisfied, I can click on attach recording, and my recording is attached. I could add an image. Let's say I want to add an image depicting a laptop. I would click on the image button here. If the image is on the internet, I could just paste the URL here. If it's on my computer, I can click to browse repositories, choose file, and just to locate the area that has a laptop. Okay, so this appears to be one-ish. Double click it and upload this file. Okay, it says describe the image for someone who can't see it. So image of a laptop. All right, and it's very large. It says 2000 by 1100. I'm going to resize it to 300 and let the system auto size for me. All right, so save image, and that is what that looks like. All right, so you can have different content types contained. You could add a table, you could add a series of links. You can insert emoticons if you wish. You can insert videos. All right, you can also insert interactive content, H5P, which we will look at this Thursday. So there are quite a number of content types you can integrate on your lesson page. I'm going to scroll down now to where it says content 1. Okay. Now, when you're on the page, you need to navigate, you need to jump. You can't just be on the page. The system allows you to create buttons or hyperlinks that allow you to reach different places in the lesson. So I would, in the description box for content 1, I would type next page or just next. All right, and the jump or the hyperlink action should be next page, because it's asking me where I want to jump to when this button is clicked. So the name of the button is next page, the hyperlink is next page. All right, I'm going to scroll down, click on save page, and I am going to view the page by clicking on the magnifying glass to the right here. So this is what the page looks like. And of course, you can see the next page button. But if I click on this button now, it won't take me anywhere because I don't have a next page just yet, but just showing you what it would look like. Okay, we're going to go back, click on edit, and we're going to add another content page. To do that, you click on the drop down for the first page, and you can choose the page that you want to add. Okay, so is it a question page, a content page, a cluster, a branch? 5 different options. What type of page you want? We're going to add another content page. Good. And this page title now will be cameras. Good. And the page content, gonna copy and paste. Okay. This time, what if I wanted to integrate a video from YouTube? I'm gonna open my YouTube page and I'm going to search for a video using the same topic here, cameras. Search. We're just gonna randomly use a video. Okay, these are showing music videos. So we're gonna use this one. It's an actual camera. All right. So I'm gonna click on it. Good. And I am going to be grabbing the actual URL for the video because what I want to do, I want to embed the video and not the link of the video. All right, I hope that's clear. So we're not going to be using this link. We're going to be embedding the actual video to our lesson. To do that, you right click on the video and you click on copy embed code. This is pulling the HTML code for the actual video. So we click on that, go back to Moodle, and you put the cursor where you want the text to appear, where you want the video to appear. Typically, that's what you do typically. But in this case, we can't put the cursor here and then paste the code, because if you paste the code, the regular text editor won't know how to interpret an HTML code. So I'm going to undo that and click on the down arrow to get more options. Good. And in the second row, the last icon in the second row is an HTML tool. When I click on that, it shows me the HTML code for what is presently on the page, and it allows me now to Control V and to paste the HTML code for the actual video. Good. And then to view everything on the page, you click back on the same button and the video appears. We're going to do that again. Okay, so we go to YouTube, we search for our video. To grab the video, we right click, choose copy embed code, go back to Moodle. We're not pasting the code here, we're going to be using the HTML tool, which is found as the last icon in the second row of the toolbar. All right, and we Control V or right click and paste, click back on the HTML tool, and our video appears. Okay, let's say we wanted to also insert a link, a very useful article on cameras. Okay, you could just type article on cameras. All right, and let's say this is the article we want to use. We would grab the URL or the web address, right click to copy, go back to Moodle, and we can put a text. To read more on cameras, click here. We can hyperlink the word here by blocking or selecting it and click on the link feature here. So we click on link and we paste the code that we just copied. Well, it's not a code, it's a web address. All right, and you can tick the box to open in a new window and click on create link. All right, so this is what that page looks like. We're gonna scroll down now and we're gonna add 2 buttons to this page. Can anybody say why we're adding 2 buttons and not just 1 button? Anybody at all?
Is it so that we can navigate to the next one? Not sure.
Okay, good. That is partially correct. So we're adding 2 buttons because we want to navigate to the next page, plus we want to go back to the previous page if needs be. All right, good. So we're going to be adding 2 buttons. The first button is going to be called previous button. You're adding it in the order that you want it to appear on the page. So previous page, and the hyperlink has to be previous. All right, and our next button is going to be called next page, and it doesn't have to be boring next page and previous page. It could actually be the name of the next page. Like the name of the next page addresses microphones. The description could be microphones. All right, but this is just a demo. All right, and you can also have additional buttons. You can have up to 5 buttons. So if you want to jump to somewhere else for a page you have created, that's possible as well. Because if I click on the jump, you will see the name of the page is already created here. So laptops is a page name, so I could jump to there as well. Okay, scroll down, click on save page, and let us just preview what we have thus far. So we have a laptops page, we have the next page, but when we click on that, it jumps to the next page, which looks at cameras. The student can click to play the camera video. They can full screen the video if they want to, and they're still in Moodle, right? They scroll down, they can click on the little link to read more on cameras that opens in a new window. When they close, they're back in Moodle. And if they want to go back to the previous page, they can click on previous page, right? If they want to go to the next page, they can click on next page. All right. Okay. So we are going to add just quickly one more page. Two pages actually. These are going to be question pages. All right. So let's say we don't want to just present content, but we want to quiz the students along the way. You can add question pages. So we're going to go back to edit. And the two question pages we're going to add is one after laptops and one after cameras. Good. So if I want to add a question page after the laptop page, I would click on the add a new page button right where the laptop page is. So add a new page, add a question page, and we're going to let this be a true or false question. Add. All right. And we're just going to call this question 1. Okay. And page contents. A laptop is a hardware device. Okay. All right, so this is not even structured properly, but we get the idea. All right. And it's a true or false question, I believe I set it up to be. We're going to put what the correct answer is. All right, so let's say this is true. Okay, we put the correct response as the text say here. All right, and then response. Response is like feedback. You have selected the correct response, or you can just put correct. To make it more engaging for your students, you could search the internet for a moving image with a thumbs up and just plug it in right here. All right. Okay. Correct answer jump. If the student gets this correct, where do you want them to jump to? The next page. All right. If they get it incorrect, you might want them to jump to another page. But in this case, you want them to jump to the next page if it is correct, and you want the correct answer to give them 1 point or 1 mark. Wrong response is false. If they click on that, the feedback is incorrect. And the wrong answer jump. You want them to revisit the page that speaks about laptops so that they can see what the correct answer is and to reattempt the question. And of course, the score for the wrong answer is going to be 0. Good. We're going to save this page, and you can see it appears after laptops. Let us add one more question page, but after cameras. So add a new page, add a question page, and this time we can let this one be a multiple choice question. All right, so add a question page, and we're calling this one what? Question 2. Okay. All right. So the question could be, which of the below is a camera? Okay, remember you can support or supplement rather the question you're asking with audio snippets, pictures, doesn't have to be dull and boring text. If this is a question that has multiple correct answers, you can tick this box. All right. In my case, I'm just going to be listing one correct answer. All right. So the first answer is going to be the headphone. All right. Response is incorrect. This is not the correct option. Okay. And if they get it incorrect, we want them to jump back to the cameras page. Score is 0. All right. Answer number 2, Canon GX. This is a camera, so the response is correct. I want them to jump to the end of the lesson if they have gotten it correct. All right, score is going to be 1. Let's add one more possible answer. Okay, so for this answer, this could be, what can we call this one? Let's just make up something. All right, let's say this is the name of a device that is not a camera. All right, response, incorrect. Jump to cameras page. All right, so we have 3 possible answers here, and we're going to scroll down and click on save. So now we have 4 pages in our lesson, 2 being content pages, 2 being question pages. Okay, Miss Hamilton has a class later, so she left. Okay, all right. So now let's preview. So we click on preview. All right, this is my first page, and it says I cannot see the progress bar because I'm in as a teacher. So the student alone would be able to see the progress bar. Click on next page. It says a laptop is a hardware device. So if I click on false and I submit, it says incorrect. Answer false, incorrect. So if I click on continue, it takes me back to the laptop page as I'd wanted. All right. If I click on next page, I reattempt, I put true, submit. It says this is correct, and I click on continue, and it takes me to my next page. So that is basically how it works. Exactly how you set it up is how it would work. All right, we scroll down, go to next page. Drop the below is a camera. If I click on clip extreme, which is incorrect, and I submit, it says incorrect. If I click on continue, it takes me back to the page to read about cameras. All right, click on next page, reattempt, enter the correct response, click on submit. It says this is correct. If I click on continue, it tells me congrats, I've reached the end of the lesson. So it does not give me a display of grades because I'm not in as a student. Here it says for students only. But remember, you can always switch your role and see how best you can get an idea of what the student sees. Okay, so that concludes our lesson 2 demonstration. We have one more tool to explore. Do we have any questions before we move on to that tool? All right, so there's silence. I believe everybody is okay and good to go. Our final tool that we will be looking at is the glossary tool. Okay, and the glossary tool, it allows for word entries to be created in Moodle. Okay, somebody asked where do we find recordings? In the same online training modules I referred to earlier. All right, so this is where the recordings are hosted. So if you're not added to the online training modules, Mr. Daly, I believe it is, right, you just send us an email and we can add you to the online training modules to access all the training resources. I'm just leaving my email address quickly in the chat for anybody else who might need it as well. All right, cool. Okay, so I was saying the glossary allows for word entries to be created and entered in Moodle, and it's a dynamic tool, I would say, because it not only allows for teacher to create the entries, which are terms and their definitions, but it also allows students to do so. But of course, as a teacher, you can restrict access to the glossary so that only you can create entries, or you can allow students to add entries as well. And this could also, I believe, be easily classified as a collaborative tool, not only for content presentation or knowledge acquisition. It can be classified as a collaborative tool where students can work together to build a bank of new key terms, even though the teacher can also create the glossary independently. Now, the glossary also has this author linking feature where keywords used as part of each entry can be linked throughout the entire course. So each time a student sees a linked word in the course and they click on it, it shows them a related term in the glossary that is linked to that specific word, right? And the glossary also has a log feature, which allows for the lecturer to be able to see exactly which student made an entry within the course and the time that they made the entry, name of the student, the entry they made, and the time that they made the entry. So we're going to be exploring this. So we're on to topic 3, and we are going to call this topic glossary tool, the glossary tool. Good. And we are going to click on an activity or resource, click on activities, and click on glossary. So let's look at the description that the system gives to glossary. It says it enables participants to create and maintain a list of definitions like a dictionary or to collect and organize information or resources. The teacher can allow files to be attached to the glossary entries. Attached images are displayed in the entry. The entries can be browsed alphabetically or by category, date, or author, and the entries can be approved by default, or the teacher can set it up so that they have to approve whatever entries are made before they're viewable by everybody in the course. It also has an auto-linking feature where, if enabled, the entries will be automatically linked where the concepts appear within the course, as I mentioned earlier. The teacher can allow for students to comment on entries. As you know, the teacher can comment, but they can also allow students to comment on entries. And the entries can be rated by the teachers or students. So this is a good collaborative effort for peer evaluation, right? Ratings can be aggregated to form a final grade, which is recorded in the grade book. So glossaries have many uses. Can be used as a collaborative bank of key terms, can be used as a getting to know you space where students can add their name and personal details. I love that. It can be used as a handy tips resource of best practices in a practical subject. It can be used for sharing useful videos, images, sound files, and it can be used as a revision resource of facts to remember. Quite an extensive use. Okay, it has quite an extensive use. So we're going to click on add, and we are going to call this glossary key technology terms and their definitions. All right, you can describe what the glossary will provide for the student, and you can select the glossary type. So here it says the difference between the glossary and the main. So the main glossary is a glossary in which entries from secondary glossaries can be imported. So basically it means you can pull or import from a main glossary, but there can only be one main glossary. So it says there can only be one main glossary in a course. If the glossary entry import is not required, all glossaries in the course can be secondary. So by default, secondary glossary. All right. Now, as it relates to the entries, do you want any entry made by your students to be approved by default, or do you want to first confirm it? Right? Do you always want to allow students to go back and edit whatever entries they have made? Do you want for duplicate entries to be allowed? So this is basically entering twice the same term and its definition. Do you want to allow students to comment on entries? Do you want to automatically link glossary entries? So quite a number of options. And of course, what you select is based on the type of glossary tool you are setting up. So it might be something for recall for your students. It might be something for an icebreaker activity. It might simply just them entering new terms and definitions they have learned throughout the course of the course. All right. So the options you select is dependent on the type of glossary you are building here. Now, under appearance, do you want the display format to be in a simple dictionary style? Quite a number of options. I'm going to stick to the default. Do you want to, it says approval display format. Okay, I think that is, it says when approving glossary items, you may wish, okay, to choose a different display format. Okay, so we will stick to the default. How many entries do you want to show per page? By default, it's 10. Let's stick to that. Do you want to show alphabet links? This basically means that you will have a section for A through to Z. So you have A, B, C, D, E, all the way to Z. Show all link. If you have a show all link, rather, it will show you special entries with special symbols and all of the entries with the different letters of the alphabet. All right. Show special link. It basically shows that category for alphanumeric. So if your term rather starts with an alphanumeric sign like a dollar sign or exclamation mark, you will have a category for that. All right. And do you want to allow for print view? So this is basically you having the glossary set up in a way where students are able to download it to their computers. Okay. So once you have selected these, you're going to scroll down, save and display. Okay, and as you can see, we have a link for special, one for A to Z, and one for all. It says no entries are found in this section. So we're going to add a new entry. Okay, I hope we have some terms and definitions in this document. Okay, let's use this. So we have keyboard as a term. In the concept, which is a term field, we're going to put keyboard, and definition, we put the definition there. So if I wanted to also make this a little bit more, beautiful for viewing, I could insert a video of a keyboard or insert a picture of a keyboard. So I would click on the picture icon, browse, all right, and we have a picture of a keyboard here. We're going to double tap to use it, upload this file, and we're going to make it small. Okay, maybe that's too small. All right, and call this image of keyboard. All right, and then we just click on save image, and that is what that looks like. Now we scroll down, it says keywords. So I can put other terms related to keywords here, to keyboard here, sorry. So if it is that I have 3 other words related to keyboard, and these 3 words are mentioned anywhere in the course, they'll be able to hover and click and see that the concept is from keyboard, and they'll be able also to see the definition and any other information shared about that particular concept. So for keywords, I am going to enter input, input devices, device. Quite a number of words that I could enter, right? Quite a number of words, but let's stick with these for now. All right, I'm gonna scroll down where it says auto linking. I'm going to tick that this entry should be automatically linked. Okay, do I want it to be case sensitive? No. Do I want to match whole words only? No. Okay, we're gonna click on save changes, and that is what that looks like. So let me show you how the keywords thing work now. So if I go back to the course, I'm not going to navigate from this page. I'm just going to quickly open a new Moodle page. And let's say I have added anything at all in the course using back input or keyboard or device. So let's say I add a label. And I have something to say that input devices include mouse, keyboard, etc. I click on save and return. Okay. Okay, let me just turn it in off, because what should happen is that, okay, so what should happen, not sure what is happening here, but what should happen with the glossary when it's fully functional is that when I hover on these words, we should actually see the glossary term showing keyboard. All right, so what we're gonna do, let's just quickly, the feature might not be working, but let's just quickly revisit this to ensure that we enabled this feature. So I am going to K keyboard, and it says it is linked. Yeah, it is linked. So there might be an issue with this particular option not working. Not sure. Auto linking is enabled. Okay. All right. So there might be an issue with this linking feature. Yes. And then let us just quickly go back to the settings to ensure as well that there are no features preventing. Right, it says automatically link glossary entry. So yes, we know that is set up. Um Appearance. Okay, so there might be an issue. So I'll make a note to check that out as well. Here, automatic linking for glossary. Alright, and of course the update will be provided in this course, in the online training module. Okay. So we're gonna move on to add another glossary entry. So click on add a new entry. So you'll realize you don't need to click on the letter that you want to add, or whatever letter the glossary entry starts with. You just add a new entry and it does a categorization for you. All right, so add a new entry. Okay, so this time we're gonna be adding the monitor and its definition. Okay, and we're going to add an image as we did before for the keyboard of a monitor. Okay, image of a monitor. It's very important that we add, we describe the image for someone who cannot see it, and especially in the case where the image is broken for some reason, it's not showing, at least they'll be able to see a description of what the actual image is about. It's called alt text, alternative text. All right, and we're going to resize this as well. Okay, and save image. Right, scroll down, we would enter different terms. So output. Okay, scroll down, auto linking, this should be automatically linked. All right, and click on save changes. Okay, so it's showing in M that we have one word starting with that letter. If I click on all, it will show all of the terms and their definitions. Okay, and of course, if it is set up for students to comment, they will have a little box below where they can enter their comments. All right, and of course, they can come to the screen just as you can as the lecturer and add a new entry. If they want to print, it says printer friendly version. They can click here because we enabled the setting as I had initially mentioned. And this is what the setup would look like for them to print. And a little option is here for them to print it. So it gives a beautiful printout. And if you think about it creatively, this is a way to actually create content that you want to use for either face-to-face. You understand? Just imagine setting this up in a way where it comes out so beautiful. You can print it, you can distribute if you want to distribute copies for face-to-face class. Whatever you want to do with it when you print it, you can. All right. Okay. Now I mentioned when I was describing the glossary that when a student makes an entry, you can use a log to see which entry they made and what time. Okay. Top right, the settings icon, there is an option that says logs. When you click on it, you can select the name of the student that you want to see who would have made a particular entry. So if I click on Michaela Peck for today, what she created, so all actions create, and I click on get these logs, it's showing me that at 1:15 today I created an entry, 1:10 I created an entry. So I'm going to click on the one that says at 1:10 p.m. I created an entry to see if the system gets it correct. So the first entry I would have created was the keyboard. So that would have been at 1:10, right? So if I click on here, good, it shows that at 1:10 this is the entry I created. Excellent. So this is a beautiful way to track your students' participation in the glossary to see who entered what and when. All right, so I believe that concludes my glossary demonstration. I will for sure check out the feature as it relates to automatic linking for the glossary. I believe it's disabled for UTech Online. I'm just going to quickly try it while you're on in LMS Dev to see if it's really an issue in the live environment. In the meantime, do you have any questions? Anything you're unsure about? Anything that you want to know while I just quickly add a glossary to
One quick
this?
question, Miss Peck.
Sure.
The glossary demonstration that you just did,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see if I understand it well. Is it that you will put the image and you're expecting the student to say what it is, or you will put the image and put keyboard, but they need to explain what is a keyboard? I just wanted to, I'm not sure if I got that part of it. I saw the image when you did the camera and you did it with the keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to know, what would the student do? Is it the image that they will look at to figure out what it is? Or you put the keyword and they need to explain it? Or there are several uh, entries and they need to determine what this one is related to? I'm not sure. If you have an entire class, what would you be expecting them to do?
Okay, so it depends. So when I had started adding the glossary, I had shown a list of different ways in which you can use it. And you're right, everything that you have mentioned, it can be used in that way. So it can be used where you just want your students, you don't touch the glossary at all, you just create it for the students, and where you want them to go ahead and to enter terms and their definitions based on what they have learned from the course thus far. It can be done where you actually create the terms and definitions as a lecturer and ask them to comment and to give their understanding, to probably you could even create a game around it, you know, the glossary and their definition, the glossary terms and their definitions. You can also, so there are quite a number of ways in which you can creatively engage your students in the glossary. It's not just about you entering the terms and their definitions and students just go to view. You can also ask them to enter terms and definitions. When I was reading the description, it mentioned that it can be used as a recall activity for your students based on what they have learned thus far in the course. It doesn't actually also have to be just terms and their definitions. It can be used as an icebreaker or introduction for students to, in the entry section, enter their name, and in the description section or definition section to enter something about themselves. So there are very much quite a number of creative ways in which you can utilize the glossary tool, not just about terms and their definitions. So anyway, you can possibly think of to engage your students creatively using the glossary, it's fine.
Okay, so it therefore means that for if you cover a particular unit, you could
Mm-hmm.
ask them to basically go to the space and to record the terms that they recall and their definitions
Right.
after reading a particular unit or whatever, something along that
That's
line.
correct. That's correct. That's
Okay,
correct.
okay,
That's
all right.
correct. You're welcome. And then just something as you mentioned that creative, I'm just thinking as well, in that scenario that you just gave, when they're entering the name and the definition, you can just ask them to enter in the entry section the name of the term, and in the definition section you can ask them to use the mic to just record with their voice what that particular term means to them instead of typing the old boring text. So as I mentioned, creative ways of engaging them using that tool. Okay, So I am quickly testing this in LMS Dev, which is the sandbox, because I want to ensure it's not working before I send something to the technical team. So save and display. I'm going to add um, keyboard again here. Keyboard. Um, okay, let me just quickly as well grab the image for the keyboard. All right, upload this file and save. All right, so I'm going to enter input and the word device, auto linking, enable, and save. Okay, so I'm going to go to the main course page for this module, and I'm going to enter some text in this label. Scroll down the keyboard as well and save. Okay, so it works here. So the issue is with the live environment. So let me just put it here before I show you all. UTech Online. Good. All right. So what should happen in UTech Online, which happened here, is whenever you use any of the key terms from the glossary entry, or if you use the actual word, when you hover and click, so input, when I click on input, it takes me to keyboard because that is a keyword that I set up for this particular device. All right, so anywhere at all in your course where you have an occurrence of the keywords that you had set up initially with this term, it will be highlighted, and when you hover, tells you the actual words, and it takes you to the glossary when you click on it. So that is what I wanted to demonstrate. So it's not working in UTech Online, as you can see. So what I will do is to make a report to the technical team, LTSU, for them to have a look and possibly quickly resolve this matter. Okay, so we have come to the end of today's session. If we have no do we have any further questions?
Sorry, what is the name of the first thing you did again?
The curriculum builder.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, so today we explore the curriculum builder, the lesson, and the glossary tool, which are tools that we, consider to be ones that allow for content presentation and for knowledge acquisition. I trust the session was useful for you. And remember, all sessions are being recorded. If it is that you want to revisit any of the recordings, you can access the online training module. This is the intermediate training module. If you don't have access, if you're not seeing it on your dashboard, just send us an email, and I left my email in the chat as well. You can easily send us an email, and we will provide you with enrollment to the courses so that you can go in and do your own practice. Okay, so you would of course get to create your own course in the sandbox, which is LMS Dev, add these resources, play around, add activities, and just get a practical feel of what it is like to use these resources in your own course. All right, so your message is noted, Mr. Colliard. Thanks to everyone for attending today's session. See you
Thanks,
on
Miss Peck.
You are most welcome. See you on Thursday, where we will look at the interactive content H5P, and you are welcome. All right. Okay, Miss Davis, no problem. Thanks to everyone. Bye bye. See you, sir.